The 2024 Major League Baseball season bats off, if you will, when the Los Angeles Dodgers and San Diego Padres face off in the Seoulseries this evening at Gocheok Sky Dome, with a second match scheduled for tomorrow, that is March 21st, at the same venue. Welcome to yet another edition of Issues and Insiders. I'm Min Sun-hee. Major League Baseball is going global to kick off this year's regular season, and the opening game, that is, takes place here in South Korea. For more on this exciting event, I have sportscaster Jason Lee with us. Jason, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. It's great to be back here on Arirang TV.
Right. I also have Kwon Soa with us. Soa, welcome back.
Happy to be here, Sunny, and happy to see you, Jason.
Yeah.
Right. So let's begin then with some background information about the Major League Baseball's 2024 World Tour.
Right. Major League Baseball has played over 200 games outside of the U.S. and Canada so far. But what we are referring to as the MLB World Tour is actually a pretty new initiative which started in last year's season. So between 2023 and 2026, some 24 regular season games and up to 16 exhibition games have been or are planned to be played all around the world, including in cities in Asia, Mexico, and Latin America, and Europe. MLB's 2024 World Tour kicked off in the Dominican Republic with two spring training contests by the Boston Red Sox and Tampa Bay Rays on March 9th and 10th. And now all baseball fans' eyes are on Seoul as the league's regular season kicks off in Korea today, Wednesday, a first in this country. The LA Dodgers versus San Diego Padres will play Wednesday and Thursday evening Korea time at Gocheok Sky Dome in western Seoul. Then regular season games are set to take place in Mexico City in late April, followed by another two-game set in London in June. Now, non-baseball fans might ask the question, so why is the MLB playing these games at stadiums abroad? So think of it as a Blackpink or BTS tour. The MLB World Tour's main focus is to bring its teams to its global fans and create more opportunities to connect fans with the popular sport, baseball.
Right. And that being said then, Jason, what do you believe is the significance of Seoul hosting the opening game?
I think it's very significant. I think it certainly tells of how Koreans are doing internationally in baseball. It also is showing how Koreans as fans are interested in both Korean baseball as well as Major League Baseball. And, you know, I remember in 2017 when the Gocheok Sky Dome was hosting the World Baseball Classic, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred came to Korea for those games. He had a press conference, and I remember one of the Korean reporters asked him, how do you feel about Major League Baseball perhaps having games here one day? And his response was blunt. He said, the stadium's kind of small. And you could hear an audible gasp when he answered as bluntly as he did. But that was then, and this is now. So obviously, the rise in Korean baseball, the fans have really grown the game a lot. And I think a big thing was in 2020, during the pandemic, when Major League Baseball was shut down for over 100 games, and the KBO games were actually being aired on ESPN, one of the biggest sports stations in North America. So being introduced to Korean baseball then, I think really brought an interest and respect for Korean baseball, and it also really highlighted how interested Korean fans are in the sport of baseball.
Right, and that being said, Jason, the San Diego Padres and the Los Angeles Dodgers are poised to face off at Seoul's Gocheok Sky Dome tonight. That is Wednesday 20th here in South Korea, as well as tomorrow the 21st. What do you care to highlight ahead of these matches?
I think the big thing to note is that these are two teams that both play in the Western divisions in the National League, and both have a history with Korean players. So the San Diego Padres have both Gocheok as well as Kim Ha-sung as a part of their team. Kim Ha-sung's been there for a couple of years, whereas Gocheok just went over this year. So at first glance, you would think that, well, there's a couple of Korean players on this team, so everyone's probably going to cheer for San Diego. But not so fast, because the LA Dodgers have a rich history when it comes to Korean players. Everyone knows Park Chan-ho started his career as an LA Dodger. Also, Ryu Hyun-jin, who was the first ever KBO player to go to Major League Baseball through the posting process. He started off with the Dodgers as well. So there's kind of a lot of, I guess we would say in Korean, jung for Koreans and the LA Dodgers. So these are two teams that have very strong connections to Korea, and also in both cases, teams that Park Chan-ho has played for. So, it makes it very interesting that it is these two teams. I'm going to be very curious to see which teams that the fans in the stadium are going to be cheering for harder.
Right. And so what are some of the events beyond the actual games that audiences can look forward to?
Well, first off, a legendary Korean baseball star that Jason just mentioned is going to throw the ceremonial first pitch at the opening games this evening, and that is none other than Park Chan-ho, who's the first ever South Korean player in MLB history. This year marks Park's 30th anniversary since making his debut with the LA Dodgers in 1994. The pitcher also played for the San Diego Padres team, so symbolically the perfect man to make that ceremonial pitch for the game between those two teams. The 50-year-old power pitcher ended his major league career 14 years ago, but he still holds the record for the most wins and innings by an Asian pitcher. Audiences on site and at home alike can also look forward to K-pop performances, which should add up to all of the excitement. Girl group aespa will perform on the celebratory stage this Wednesday, and another girl brand, G-IDE, will be on stage Thursday. Various brands opened up pop-up stores for the event with emblems or badges that represent famous stars, just like South Korean Padres player Kim Ha-sung, or currently one of the, or maybe the most popular baseball star, Japanese Shohei Ohtani, who plays for the LA Dodgers. And the atmosphere with all the cheering at the games is also going to be worth just being part of it all.
Right, I'm sure. Now, Jason, prior to these opening matches, earlier this week, the two teams, they played exhibition games against Kium Heroes, LG Twins, as well as South Korea's national baseball team. What is your assessment of these friendlies?
You know, I think a lot of people were curious on how the Korean teams would do against these major league teams. I think the obvious assumption was that they were going to get killed. And in all fairness, the Kium Heroes did not fare that well. They lost, I think, 14-3 or something like that. But at the same time, you're talking about the team that came last place in the KBO last year. Also, their best pitcher has undergone surgery, so he was not playing. And also their best hitter, Kim Ha-sung, he was actually playing for the national team when they played the other team. So it really was an unfair matchup to begin with in that particular game. Having said that, the Dodgers only beat the Korean national team 5-2, and then the two other games that the San Diego Padres played, those were one-run games. They beat the national team 1-0, and they beat the LG Twins 5-4. So very close games. I think it does show that, hey, Korean teams, they can play with some of the best teams in the league, in the world, I should say, on any given day. Obviously, over the course of a long season, if you're playing 162 games, things might be different. But on any given day, I think, teams can compete at a high level.
And speaking about the Korean teams, the KBO League's 2024 season kicks off this coming Saturday, I believe.
That's right, yeah, on this weekend.
What's the latest on that front?
The season, it starts actually a week earlier than normal. They bumped it up because there's going to be another international tournament at the end of the season. In November, there's going to be an international tournament called the Premier 12. It's sort of like the World Baseball Classic, but probably not as promoted as largely. But it's going to be important, which is why they've bumped up the season a week. And what I'm really excited about for this particular season is the Hanwha Eagles, because they have been the doormats of the KBO for such a long time. They've been either last or bottom of the standings year in, year out. They've only made the postseason once in the last 16 years. However, having said that, Ryu Hyun-jin, who has played for the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, he is back in Korea. He has re-signed with the Hanwha Eagles. So him joining his former ball club, they've got No Shi-hwan, the defending home run champion that really had a breakout season last year, and Moon Dong-ju, a youngster on the squad that I think is going to be an absolute star in the next couple of years to come. I think it's really exciting to see what Hanwha is going to do this year after struggling for so long.
Right, I see. And so I hear there's also been a few changes in rules this season for the KBO. Could you give us a rundown?
Right, Sunny. But to be honest, for someone who wasn't even deeply into the rules before, it was really difficult to understand the changes because I'm the kind of person who enjoys going to baseball games now and then to have my chicken and beer there and enjoy the atmosphere. So Jason, please feel free to add anything to the changes or if I'm missing out anything. So first, the first change that I want to mention is the adoption of the automated ball strike system, or in short ABS, also called the robot umpire. Through tracking technology, the ABS assesses balls and strikes, after which it sends the call to the home plate umpire through an earpiece. Now, according to the KBO, after having some tests earlier, the success rate of the ABS is 99.9%. So if the ABS was for accuracy, the pitch clock will be introduced, this one to speed up the games. According to this rule, pitchers must pitch within 18 seconds in the case bases are empty and within 23 seconds when runners are on. So basically, the pitch clock limits the amount of time before a pitcher throws the ball. Players will also have to get used to a ban in infield shifts as well as bigger bases, up from 15 square inches to 18. Now, starting this year, also temporary replacements for foreign players will be allowed. So, for instance, if a player is injured and needs weeks of treatment, then you would have a temporary player coming from abroad. And I also want to mention that some of these changes have been partially adopted by the MLB as well. And also the MLB is going to look at the changes of the KBO to maybe later also adopt these changes by benchmarking from the KBO, I believe, if that's correct, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of these rules were brought into Major League Baseball last year. One other rule that they are including, by the way, is the pickoff play. So before, the pitcher could throw to first base or other bases to pick off a base runner as many times as they wanted in a game. And honestly, it was kind of ridiculous in a lot of cases. Sometimes it would happen 5, 10 times. But now what they've done is by the third time, if you try to throw to a base to pick off a runner and you don't get the out, then the runner automatically advances to the next base. So that's a new rule that was also implemented in Major League Baseball last year. That will be implemented into the KBO this season, along with each of the rules that Soa mentioned. And the only rule that has not been used of the ones that Soa mentioned in Major League Baseball is the robot umps. So that is being introduced in Korea for the first time. They did use something like that in minor league baseball, in AA and AAA in North America, but they have not used that at the major league level yet. And as Soa mentioned, I think what they'll probably do is, to a certain degree, they'll watch how it works in Korea, take a look at what are the benefits, what are the downfalls, and then make a decision eventually. They do believe that robot umps will come to Major League Baseball eventually, but I think they want to make sure that it's perfect when it gets there for their game, and I'm sure they'll kind of look at how Korea uses it this year and beyond.
You're right, so a cautious approach there. Jason, how do these changes in rules look to affect game strategies, if I may?
I think it's going to be a little bit different than in North America, because the reason that they added each of those rules in North America was to promote offense. They wanted to have more base stealing and more hitting. They're making it easier for hitters to get hits, because pitchers were throwing harder and harder, 99, 100, 102, 3 miles per hour on their fastball. So it's just getting increasingly more difficult to hit in Major League Baseball. In the KBO, however, the KBO is known right now as a hitter's league, as it was. So there's already a lot of offense. Hitters do well, in comparison to other leagues. So I think it's going to bring even more offense. And I can honestly say I don't know if it was necessary. But having said that, Korea wanted to adjust to the accepted gameplay around the world because this is what they're going to be using for international competition. So they want their players to be playing the international rules. So for a league that's already very offensive, I think we're going to see even more runs. But I think the games might be a little bit shorter, as Soa mentioned, because of the pitch clock.
Right, I see. Also, so on the domestic front, starting this season, streaming service TVing, I believe, will be showing the KBO matches, right? What more can you tell us?
Right, online streaming platforms are increasingly becoming popular among sports fans as they attract them for a live streaming of their favorite games. But before we talk about TVing, I want to mention also Kupang because Kupang currently streams the MLB World Tour Seoulseries, and Kupang became the first online streaming service that surpassed 8 million users a month in January, and that's attributed to its rise in active users who look for sportscasting services. Now, while earlier people would rather watch them on portal website Naver, OTT platforms are clinching exclusive partnerships, which means with big money, just like TVing now has done with the KBO. So apart from watching the games on regular TV, through TVing, KBO games can be watched online through PCs, mobile devices, or smart TVs from 2024 to 2026. The CGA-EM streaming service, however, will need to gain a little bit of more trust from the public as it recently faced criticism for making mistakes in subtitles for players, poor screen quality, and broadcast delays during the KBO preseason streamings. So TVing apologized for the shortcomings and vowed for proper quality with the start of the regular season. TVing is offering also a variety of contents and features such as the TVing Super Match, where one match will be selected for an in-depth look, preview shows with in-depth interviews with players and managers, 4D cam service, which means you would be able to watch the game in 360 degrees, documentaries on players, real-time rewind function, as well as live chats among baseball fans that will all add up to the streaming experience. And TVing will also allow users to record and edit clips of up to 40 seconds with no copyright issues. So I think that is because they want to, spread more of the games and make those, in Korean you would say 짤, so fun video clips that the fans can share among themselves.
Right, an interactive process then.
Right.
Jason, generally speaking, what do you suppose are the broader implications of streaming services on perhaps the popularity of baseball here in Korea?
I think this is very important. I think accessibility, promotion, and just availability for everyone is going to be great for the expansion of the KBO. As an example, I'm a Chicago Cubs fan. And in 2016, when they won the World Series, I was in Busan at a tourist site. And, I'm trying to watch my game, but I didn't have access to a TV. So I actually watched the game while on tour on my phone. And to be able to watch baseball or, whatever you need on these streaming platforms, to be connected anywhere you go, the accessibility for that, it's obviously going to be great for fans. And as mentioned, to be able to promote it as well, to not have copyright infringements, to be able to make shorts or other things, to be able to spread the word on what's going on, that is only better for the baseball fans. It's better for the KBO. And hopefully, it can expand beyond just Korea as well. I'm part of an online community of foreign fans that love the KBO, and there's constantly people that are wondering how can they watch these games in other countries. And sometimes it is difficult without VPN services and stuff like that. So hopefully this will lead to even the next step so that it's not just for KBO fans in Korea, but also KBO fans internationally all over the world that can really, be able to watch KBO games because they really are very entertaining.
And speaking about fans, we have like about a minute or two left, Jason. I'd like to touch upon the popularity of Padres player Ohtani that Soa mentioned earlier.
LA Dodgers player.
Oh, sorry, LA Dodgers player Ohtani, of course. And LA Dodgers, of course, here in Korea has much popularity because of our players like Park Chan-ho, former players, that is. Well, Ohtani enjoys quite a bit of popularity here in this country. How do you explain that? He did say that Korea wasn't one of the few places he wanted to visit.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that we get a chance to see Ohtani in Korea, because when this game was originally scheduled late last year and the game was decided to be the Dodgers and the Padres, Ohtani wasn't on the team at that point. He was with the LA Angels, but through free agency, I think it was late December, he decided to sign with the Dodgers. I, for one, when I saw the signing, the first thing I thought of, Ohtani's going to be coming to Korea. He signed with the Dodgers. I mean, he had a 2 in 30 chance of picking a team that would be coming to Korea. He picked the LA Dodgers, so everyone in Korea, as well as, those in Japan, that haven't seen him play in some time as well, get to make the short trip over and be able to get to see him play. So certainly a great opportunity that everyone gets to enjoy.
Right. Hopefully tonight here in Korea we'll see him in action then.
I can't wait.
All right, Jason, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. And Soa, thank you very much for your insights.
Anytime.
Right. Well, that ends Wednesday's edition of Issues and Insiders. Thank you for watching.